I am in my 12th year of teaching, and I've always had students who were designated as students with special needs or students who were designated as English language learners. And I never have felt like I've done the best job at supporting them. For me, it's really important because it's over a third of my kids, and I want all of my kids to grow and develop as learners. And so for some of them, that means something really different than what it means for someone else. For my Getting Better Together focus, I really want to work to meet the needs of my diverse learners. Can I have a volunteer in a loud, clear voice read our learning target for today? And I should see many hands up in the air. Today, we have 4 adults in the room. Myself, my co-teacher, and 2 paraprofessionals. What I want to do differently is maximize the adults in the room and recognize that gives us a huge advantage in helping push students further than I could as one adult by myself, or as we could as 4 adults with 1 person teaching. All right, everybody has their book? We are trying something new today where we're actually using stations to give kids smaller group instruction with an adult and a few of their peers. But remember, if you're analyzing text, what are you doing? Sam?
Make a claim about it.
What do you mean by that? So how we actually came to today, my co-teacher, Ms. Aldabat, and I looked at previous work that our kids had done. We also asked kids to do kind of some of their own self-reflection, and we gave them a very short 3-question survey. We have a lot of strengths as a group, and we also have some areas where we need to grow. And those are actually in 3 main areas.
Yeah, so the areas that we're looking for growth in are locating the piece of evidence that you want, we started seeing some data that showed us that our students needed particular help in certain areas.
So we took all of that data and used it to create 4 different stations. And each of you is going to move to at least 2 of these stations today. Today's lesson will focus on preparing for a text-based discussion about the book Wonder by R.J. Palacio. So how do you figure out what the most important events are? The station that I'll be working at is how do we identify major events in a particular section of the text. And so I'm going to give you some strategies today that will help you.
We are going to use our discussion questions to locate evidence.
My co-teacher is working to help students find the piece of evidence they want.
Do you agree, Anjali?
Also, one of the paraprofessionals is going to be working with a group on how you use textual evidence to support an inference that you're making.
Summer made the right decision because she felt uncomfortable.
So where's the evidence to support your claim?
Oh yeah, it's right here.
In the 4th group, they'll be preparing for our group discussion for the next day.
She finally got used to it, and she saw him for the person he is, not for how he looks.
Exactly, so that's what you can write.
So in these small groups, we're hoping that kids will walk away with a new skill that will help them better analyze the text and find evidence to support that. I made a little awesome bookmark for you guys. When I'm trying to identify a major event, I ask myself 3 questions, okay? And these are the 3 questions that can help you figure that out. Stations 1 and 2 were for students that needed a little bit more of foundation. Okay, we're gonna pick 2. And I want you guys, they're all from summer section, to determine is it a major event or a minor event, and how do you know? You can use your questions to help you. It's my hope that breaking things up and breaking them down will help push them. If the evidence shows me they're not quite ready, how do I break it down so that they can kind of find their entry point? Joshwendi is our fabulous peer tutor. Ms. Aldabat and I were talking as we were planning this lesson around particular kids who just really high-level readers. They're really good at making inferences and analyzing text. And how do we push them? One way to do that, I think, is to get them to step into a space where they're supporting others. And the more opportunities we can give kids, the better. If this event were missing, would it have less of an impact on me as the reader?
Put it in the middle. Now we know that he likes to play that game.
Okay, and is that more?
It's more of a detail than action than like something that will impact you.
It was really awesome to have Joshwendi talk with other kids around why she thought things were major or minor events. So in that sense, she was more of a model today.
Let's start with this. Locating the piece of evidence you want. How do you guys typically start doing that? Yasmin.
If they're talking about a certain character, I would go to their part.
I like that.
I use the hint that they give me.
So what's the hint that you're talking about? What
I
part?
was talking about summer, so I go back into the chapter of summer.
For my station, I was facilitating locating evidence. So the question was about a certain chapter in the book. I was just asking them, how do you know to look in this particular chapter? Or how do you know that this is what's gonna happen? Let's talk about what you guys mentioned before. You say you use hints from the question. So we're using what we know about the narrator. Who's the narrator that we're talking about in discussion question number 2? Summer. Okay, so let's turn to Summer's section in our book. Where is the evidence that tells us what the plague is? Yasmin?
Okay, I found evidence in paragraph 3, sentence 2.
Very nice.
It says, apparently, this is a game that's been going on since the beginning of the year. So the plague, it's a game that they're playing, basically.
Very nice. So that's the first piece of evidence. I think it went well. Our students picked up on what we were looking for. They just needed the extra push as to how we're going to be locating it and getting those questions going for them to figure out where to start.
So we are going to transition. Make sure you have everything you need, and then if you don't remember, you can look up at our station paper, and then take your things to your second station.
Okay. Now we discuss question number 2 and they're finding the evidence.
All right. There's some students that could have benefited from hitting every station, but just with the way that our day was structured and the time, we gave them the opportunity to go to 2.
Where anyone who accidentally touches August have to wash their hands or use sanitizer within 30 seconds or they will get the prize. I think it's a major event.
Why?
Because pretty much they're being mean to him because of how he looks, of his face.
Okay, and so would that, if that event were missing, would it be harder to understand the book or feel less complete?
Yes, it would, because you wouldn't understand why people didn't want to touch it.
Okay.
Bring yourself back to your original seat. We're gonna give you 3 minutes to reflect. What is one strategy that you learned or practiced today? Today, we were really intentional about taking the time for kids to reflect and then to respond to each other. When I walked around as students were writing their closing reflections, it was powerful to see that we took some first steps today.
So were you not reading the questions closely before? You were just, what were you doing?
Reading it and then not looking for the evidence for it.
Okay, and so what are you gonna do now, or what's different?
Use the words in the question to help me cite evidence.
Okay.
We will see in the discussion tomorrow, are they able to actually cite textual evidence that supports an analysis that's accurate?
I learned that if the discussion on anything says something like about any character, you go back to the book and go to the part of the text.
So what I'm hearing is you use clues from the discussion question to go back and find your evidence. Very nice.
I think it was really insightful to hear certain kids share a reflection and then others connect to that.
I have something like that where it said textual evidence to support my ideas. When I was rereading it to find the evidence, I remembered the scene that was happening in that part.
Thank you. So you had a connection to what Anasia was saying. Okay. It's beneficial in seeing hey, you did learn a new strategy and now I know I can push you in that area or help you develop additional strategies to use as you move forward. So can you sign thank you to your partner, please? Miss Aldabot, Miss Joanne, Miss Elaine, are we good? I think I'd make a number of changes to what happened today. One of the key changes is actually creating a space and carving out more time to prepare everybody who is in some sort of teaching role. Another change would be thinking about our peer tutors. What would be helpful is to kind of even have a class discussion with them around how do you think we can grow this so that more of us have the opportunity to step into that role? You know, tapping into that bank of resources when we're moving into a lesson or stations that could use that support. So you're saying it would feel incomplete if this was missing. Why?
Because the readers will feel like that summer's now just sitting with August for no reason.
I think for me, what it really comes down to is it's opportunity for kids to have a small group or close to one-on-one interaction with an adult. That's really hard in schools today. And in some of my classes, I'm the only teacher. So in this class where there are 4 of us, something that I want to continue is to figure out how can we create more opportunities for kids to have interactions and conversations and kind of guided facilitation with other adults in the room. And then how do we support each other as the adults in the room to get better at that?